You have to realize that before John Glenn could climb into a Mercury capsule and fly into space for, what, 15 minutes or an hour or so, you had to get a lot had to happen for him to do that. The first being into space from this country was a chimp named Ham. Um, Now, these are actual articles worn by Ham the chimp. Um, he was the first being to fly into space. Mercury sent up a chimp named Ham, and he met with President Kennedy after the flight. I hear the conversation went well, and these are some of his uniform. Okay. Now, Ham did not get his position lightly. He had to go through strenuous tests with about 25 other monkeys in Arizona, or New Mexico, I think. Holloman, New Mexico. Yeah. 29 training sessions where chimps were tested to follow lights in this little throne here. And the winner got to be shot into space. And it was Ham. Many would say it was John Glenn, but hey, that's another story. I remember when I was in Boston at the JFK Library, and they had on display there from the Smithsonian the Mercury capsule and John Glenn. And I was amazed at how very, very small it was. Look at that. That is all there is. That is it. And you're sitting in there for whatever length of time, and that is it. And beneath you, you got like enough power and enough thrust to break the surly bounds of Earth, as Ronald Reagan once said. Okay? I mean, you are sitting on top of a candlestick, as one of the noted quotes. I mean, this is a Gemini, right? Yeah, this is a Gemini 8. Now look how small this is. This is where the humanity is in all of the rocket. That's it. And this is a two-seater, okay? That is it, you know? Wow. You know, it's just, you better be friends with your partner for this, you know? Um, that is something. Look at that. That is it, okay? Now here is the Apollo 15 capsule, the actual capsule. You know, don't adjust your TV set. This is, you know, I could have swore it was white or something, red, white, and blue. This is after reentry. All right, this was a 3-man crew, and the last ones to the moon. This was a 3-seater, 3 guys in it. Okay, so the tan of the body is from reentry. If you've ever seen any film of the reentry, think space capsule or think space shuttle. Okay, there's heat, all right, and what these capsules would do is they'd come in on their butt, so the butt would take all the heat that reentry has to offer, and with any luck for the guys inside, it would throw it away from the capsule, or as much as they could, you know, and then they would pull the parachute and fall into the big tub of water, be it the no, it's Atlantic, I believe. Probably varied, whatever ocean they would land in, and then wait for the choppers to pick them up. Okay. But what's interesting is when they went through reentry, once they got past a certain point, then they would pull a chute, and the chute would open, and it would carry the capsule down to Earth to splash in the tub of the Atlantic or wherever. Amazing. Right. I am in Rocket Park. This is the Saturn V rocket that led many Apollo missions. The whole rocket has been renovated because it was deteriorating, and there you see the capsule. And what's great about the capsule is it looks like they did not touch it. You know, it looks like the real thing. Burn marks and all. The rest of the rocket has been renovated, painted, cleaned. This whole hall is devoted to this one rocket, which is probably the most valuable piece of aeronautical equipment in the history of man. I don't know what Lindbergh would say, or the Wright brothers. But it is awe-inspiring nonetheless. Along the walkway here are flags for each of the Apollo missions. Just amazing to think how big this was, and kind of like a Lego, it had a lot of pieces, you know, all kind of had to work together to get this thing off the ground. And then propel it further and further and further into space. quite something. Let's see. Transport. And these solid rocket on ground level is just phenomenal. I mean, that's what has to lift the whole thing. And it's just phenomenal. It is huge. I cannot express the scope of these thrusters, and they're all firing to send all of that into space. Truly remarkable.
Out here was here in '65. I mean, men actually sat at these consoles, put other men into space. This is their workstations, if you would. And I'll share something else with you. When they opened up in 1965, we did not even have a computer in here. The monitors you see are basically data monitors. We had an IBM mainframe computer downstairs. That was technology back in the day. And this IBM computer, this mainframe computer, the reason why we had it downstairs, it was too big to fit up here. Huge. I mean, it was, well, again, larger than this room. It took 10 people to operate that one computer and had a whopping 2 megabytes of memory. And we're operating a space program on that. Wow. I was going to go and tell you, our first mission in here was the Gemini 4 back in 1965. Now, on that mission there, we, of course, launched, no computer to help us there. They get into space, they're orbiting. On board that mission, this gentleman here in this painting, this is U.S. astronaut Ed White. He's on board. Ed White did a spacewalk, the first United States astronaut ever to walk in space. So imagine, if you would, again, no computers to back him up, this guy opens the hatch for the first time and steps outside the space. I think about that. I mean, brave, but I mean, talk about a leap of faith, literally. Wow. That's what he did. He didn't know what awaited him out there. He didn't know what it was going to feel like, but he did it. So he does it. He does a 22-minute spacewalk. He gets back in the capsule. They come back to Earth. Well, it's pretty tricky when you're re-entering our atmosphere.